Oh, this is a really good question. Essentially, it all boils down to something called incidental learning, which is learning, especially with language, that occurs without planning, more spontaneous type learning. It can be as simple as nothing, pointing to a dog and telling a baby, that's a dog. So they can start to make that connection between the word and the actual item or animal. And or even just picking up on grammar structure from listening to how other people around you speak. So much of incidental learning is picked up through listening and hearing. However, with my students, it becomes a little tricky. Since my group is deaf and hard of hearing, they can't make those same connections auditorily that the other students might be able to. The incidental learning that takes place with my students has to be a little bit more purposeful. So if we're out in the hall and I happen to see a art project on display, I might take the time to quickly point out some of the colors in the art project or some of the shapes that they see and show them the sign for it. Or if I see a science project about photosynthesis, I might show them the parts of the plants that are listed and fingerspell it and show them how to fingerspell that. So, you see, I have students who are like Jorge, who has never really been, who's only ever really had exposure to home signs, which don't really have a connection to an actual sign language. So they don't really have a good foundation for learning a language, especially one like English. And so the things that I'm trying my best in using things that I see out in the hall to help my students make those connections between the things that I'm showing them and language that is used so that they can start to build that foundation. I know sometimes it might take a little bit, a few more minutes out in the hallway, so it might seem like we linger a little bit longer than your typical class, but I promise that even if we are out in the hall, I am teaching my students important skills that are really going to help them build up their language. So does that answer your question?